If you're thinking about moving to the Riviera Maya, it's actually easier than you think. Today, I'm here with Jeremy and Ashley from the United States, and they moved here just a year ago in 2024. And today, they're going to be sharing their top tips on how they made it happen and the biggest mistakes to avoid if you want to make Playa your home. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast, guys. And why don't you tell us a little bit about where you're from and what made you decide to come to Playa del Carmen?
Well, we've been visiting here for years, and we started thinking about what would it be like if we just actually lived here where we vacation instead of just only vacationing here when it was cold in Utah.
I'm not a fan of the cold, so I was trying to convince Jeremy that we needed to move someplace a little bit warmer, escape the winters. Maybe some of you Canadians can relate to that. We want more sunshine, right? Am I right? Okay, so we had talked about coming down on vacation. We always had a good time, and I was just planting some seeds. Like maybe we could start, spending half the year here, and that kind of evolved and turned to what would it look like to just relocate and have a life in Playa del Carmen. So we got started by looking at what it'd be like to come to Mexico. We decided on the Caribbean side because we really loved that Cancun had a nice big airport and we could easily travel from different place to different place.
And also the Caribbean water and beaches was a minor factor.
It's a selling point, right? Yeah. We love that turquoise water.
Once we'd settled kind of on this side, we said, okay, well, where can we live? Okay, where can our kid go to school? So that was the other big factor for us was where can our kid go to school? Where are their schools? Where would they get a good education? Where are the other people who are relocating? So we can have a sense of community where we're going to move to.
Yeah. Ultimately, I'd say what initially got us started was we wanted more year-round weather where we could be outside, live an active lifestyle, and also have a different quality of life.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful here. I moved here over 20 years ago, and it's been absolutely amazing. I love helping people like you and others get to know the different neighborhoods and plug you into the community because the community here is so important. But I'd like you all to hear exactly from them. What was the community like here?
Well, we actually met Raul in a pool at a community event when we were here doing a tour of neighborhoods just to find out a good neighborhood for our family. And we got talking, and he ended up hooking us up with different neighborhoods and different contacts, and we started really looking at what it would be like to live here. So we ended up moving into the neighborhood that Raul had recommended because there's like 50 kids under the age of 10. It's near the beach. Everyone in there has been warm and welcoming to us, and we've really felt a good sense of support here. We also, when we moved here, we were 7 months pregnant. And so we were looking for a little bit of help because we were like, hey, we're about to do this thing, And so I'm going to actually tell that side of the story. But we get down here 7 months pregnant into a neighborhood, and we felt immediate support. How did that go, Ashley?
I mean, initially, right, we're looking for a different pace of life. And one of the big triggering factors was we found out what we were expecting and we didn't have a lot of support back home. Their grandma and grandpa wasn't around to help us out. And we're like, okay, what are we going to do? What are our options? And the options are put both kids in daycare and pay more in daycare than our mortgage, right? In America, that's how it is.
Like actually, we did the math. It would have been more.
Or we could go somewhere else where we could, have support in home and still be able to, have accessible.
Where you can work and have margaritas.
Yeah, where we can work and have margaritas. No, we were really looking for a change of life and a change of pace, right? So when we moved down, we're 7 months pregnant. That was the catalyst. It was like, okay, we have to do something different. We can't continue to live like we're living or else we're going to.
And it gave us a timeline. It was like, okay, well, we got to go in the next couple months because if not, we got to wait 2 years.
Yep. So we had 6 months to get all of our stuff together and make it happen. And ultimately, I would say it went well. Our baby is now 11 months old. He'll be 12 months and next month, and he's thriving. And the overall birth experience was great. We can get more into that later. But I mean, to answer your question, I think community was one of the biggest reasons we decided to leave the States and move to Mexico. We wanted more support. We wanted to be able to hire help that we didn't have back home. And we were looking for more of an outdoor lifestyle to be active and really enjoy nature and, enjoy the Caribbean.
Yeah, it's amazing living here. It's like nobody's actually from here,
right?
And everyone went to great lengths to move here. So even the Mexicans are from Guadalajara or Puebla or Mexico City.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of Europeans and South Americans and this neighborhood that you guys live in. I used to live there. Now I live in front of the beach and they're always coming over it. We're just a kilometer. Yeah, we're just a kilometer away from each other. But that neighborhood is amazing. You have all these, German kids and then a French kid and then, Mexican kids, American kids, Canadian kids. And it's just such a rich environment for kids to grow up in. And it's also so safe. I mean, the city here is just amazing. When we get bored, I mean, tell us a little bit about the lifestyle of what it's like to actually live at Playa del Carmen.
Yeah, and that was when I first started mentioning to some of my family that we were thinking of relocating here. I actually remember somebody said, "Oh, Playa, that's like the worst. That's the most dangerous place." I was like, "Oh yeah, like why?" And of course they have
All the reasons.
all these reasons aren't even real about this, right? Is there danger here? Sure. I mean, like any neighborhood, but we live in a little quiet gated community. We have 24-hour security. Our kids run around barefoot in the streets. It is not a dangerous, scary place. We don't feel like we're afraid of, people say the mafia. It's not the mafia. We actually talk about the thing that's going to probably kill our kids is the pool. We have loved our little community. When we gave birth to our baby, our neighbor brought us, a little meal. She brought over little baby clothes for our son. And we've just felt so welcomed because I think to Raul's point, these people have also had to have been welcomed at some point because they're not from here. Nobody's from here. And so there's this sense of a community that looks out for each other and brings people in because they have been in that same situation themselves at some point.
Yeah, but I feel like the thing that we did right from the beginning and being able to cultivate and find, how do you find the right community, right? Is before we moved down, about 9 months to a year ahead of time, we came down to Mexico. We came down to Playa to test it out, right? So we stayed for 3 weeks. We booked a week in 3 different neighborhoods to kind of decide what we liked. Where was the area? What was the vibe, right? And so we did like our little vibe check. And we came down first with just the two of us to kind of check it out, and then later we brought our son with
Once we
us.
settled on a neighborhood that we thought would be the good neighborhood, we did one final sort of gut check for us, but also we brought our son, who was 6 at the time, to see how he did, to see how he integrated, to see if he felt comfortable, because obviously this affects him as well. So if you have a family, kids have feelings too, right? And so we wanted to just see how he did if we introduced him to the community, if he felt comfortable with the other kids, how his Spanish was. We started warming up his Spanish a little bit, And ultimately, like, he's just thriving, living his best life. So the neighborhood choice was a good choice.
It was good. And I'd say when you're moving somewhere, community is always a big aspect or an element. So I would say this is something you're really thinking about doing before, selling all your stuff. Book a trip down with your family and stay for a couple weeks. Plan to stay in a couple Airbnbs in different neighborhoods to get a vibe, see what you like. Get connected with Raul. He'll give you all of the connections of which neighborhoods, depending on what's important to you, what you value. You want the beach? Do you want the jungle? And then from there, you can start making some of those local connections that's going to make the transition a lot easier.
Yeah, what I always tell my clients is talk to somebody before purchasing a property. Talk to people that have already been through the process there. Talk to people that have purchased from that developer or in that neighborhood and get the reality on the ground. And that's what me and my agents do. We go knocking on doors. Hey, what has it been like? What's the worst thing you've experienced here? What's the best thing? What would you recommend? What would you do different? Which is very helpful for our clients. And that's what we do. We give them real data, real answers to real questions. But that leads me to my other question. Like, what would you guys have done differently, if anything?
Well, one thing we learned on our initial trip down here is the importance of having good local contacts. We had rented a car through Hertz, which if you Google Cancun rental scam, you'll find out all about it. So of course we arrived in Cancun with all of our stuff in the rain, and they canceled our cars. And we're travel people and we speak Spanish, and we're sitting in this like little balcony getting rained on, looking at each other like, how are we in this situation? Like, we've been here a lot. We speak Spanish. Like, we're like travel people, So we ended up having to take a taxi all the way to Playa del Carmen, and we woke up the next morning in our Airbnb with nothing. I had planned on having a car so we could go get money, get a local SIM card for our phone, get drinking water, groceries. So we woke up in the morning, we had nothing. And again, we looked at each other in bed and we said, why are we in this scenario? Like, this is like not us. We're travel people. Like, we're smart. Like, why are we?
We have no car. We don't have a way to get to the ATM and pull money out.
We had electricity, and I think that was about it,
Yeah.
But the lesson that I learned there is the importance of having local contacts, because we were in a neighborhood, but we didn't know anybody, let alone to ask a favor or whatever. And so, one thing that I learned from that lesson was I put together this guide that has just a list of all the contacts, all the people, all the things you're going to need to know if you ever are in a situation where you wake up in Playa del Carmen and you don't have anybody to talk to.
Excellent. And I've taken a look at that guide. I really like it because it's very intuitive. It's very easy to read. It's just, a long list with the bold capital letters that tell you all the different areas of finance, transportation, plumber, nanny.
Okay, or like, hey, you got to go to the doctor. Where do you go? That type of stuff.
Yeah. And you click on any of the contact links and it takes them directly to the WhatsApp contact of that person. So super simple to have on your phone and just contact people.
One of the things we also learned is that the boring stuff matters. So when you're making a big international move, there's a lot of things that fall through the cracks that you don't really think about. Like, oh, you've had your cell phone number for 20 years. How do you keep that number? Because people are still trying to get a hold of you. Oh, you got to get a credit card mailed to you. How do you get your mail forwarded? Oh, you got to use a VPN to log into your work server. There's all these problems you have that are just kind of boring problems that you don't really think about until you're in the situation. And you're like, oh, how do I solve this problem? So one of the things that I've started doing is I have a lot of experience in finance and tech. And so as I've solved our problems, I've been making videos on my YouTube channel to teach how you can overcome these problems, because I think it's sometimes they have simple solutions, but you have to kind of know how to do it. So what I've really enjoyed doing over the last year is making videos explaining how to overcome the tech problem, how to overcome the finances problem, how do you set up your finances so you don't get scammed, things like that. So if you are thinking about making the move and you want to come down to this area, or really just anywhere in Mexico in general, check out my channel and you can learn how to overcome the boring stuff that maybe you didn't think about before you make the move, so you don't get here and get stranded without a debit card or something like that.
Thank you so much. I love getting together with people like you because, you're really smart, first of all. Second, you really want to help people, and it shows in the work that you've done. And it's a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. And I'm glad we can put the kids together and have fun, because that's what this is all about. This is not just about buying a property or buying a guide or anything like that. It's more about creating this community, this experience of life, of what it's like to live in community in Playa del Carmen, in this beautiful setting, and make the most wonderful experiences and memories possible for us and our children. And it's been great knowing you guys, really. And tell us a little bit more about the guide. How much does it cost?
I sell the guide for $15. But if you are a My Casa watcher, I'm offering a free discount code. You can use the code, which will be below in the description, and you can just have it for free. Because I'm actually trying to help people. It's not really about me making money.
And if you'd like to get in touch with Jeremy or Ashley, or look at his YouTube channel or his website, or download his free guide, if you say My Casa, then just click on the links down below and we'll get you that information right away. Guys, it's been great having you on. Thank you so much. I look forward to having you back on in a few months, and let's be neighbors soon.